Hello, everyone. Even in ride sharing, health is wealth. When I was doing ride sharing, I had a lot of different rides, different people. But one thing that I noticed is that I had to take quite a few individuals to dialysis. And when I say take, I had to, you know, like pick them up from their residency and then take them to dialysis. And then, um, due to my driving, they liked it. They wanted me to drive them back home. And even when I wasn't having like repeat customers, I was still taking individuals, to dialysis. And the thing is this: initially, I wasn't really paying attention to it for whatever reason. I wasn't really paying attention to the importance of it. But I think after like the second person, I started to hone in on it, and I remember it vividly. A woman hopped into my car. Let's say her name was Lisa, and I had my AC on because this was during the summertime at the time. Not this summer, probably a couple of summers back. I had the AC on because it was blazing outside. However, when Lisa got into my car, you know, I think I had just pulled out of the parking lot. I think I've only had been driving for like 2 minutes. She asked me to turn the AC off or to turn it down, and I obliged because she was cold. And but right after she asked, she said it's real cold in the building. Now, I've never been into a facility of that nature. Hopefully, I never will. But she expounded on it, letting me know why it was so cold because of the treatment. And because cold kills germs, it has the propensity to kill germs. And so I'm driving and we're still conversing, and I asked her, but she looked healthy. She looked healthy. She just looked normal. So I asked because I was inquisitive about, how did she come to be on dialysis? And she told me that it was a mixture of things. She said that it was due to her eating habits. That was one thing. And then she said it was her responsibilities of being a wife, being a mother, looking after people. And she also stated that a doctor gave her incorrect medicine, and the medicine kind of activated, messing up her kidneys in a sense. And yeah, of course, I thought all of those things were disappointing to hear, very unfortunate. Um, I'll take it from the top. Like she was telling me about the food she was eating. She was letting me know that she was eating food with a lot of salt. She said it was a lot of fried food. She said she was eating out not often, but more than moderation. Let's say your example for moderation is 2 times a week eating out. She was eating out like 5 times, and I was like, I'm just listening. And then she went on to talk about her responsibilities of being a wife and being a mother, and she said that that was taking a toll on her, which led me to just thinking internally like, well, I would think she would want her husband as well her children to live long and have good health. But then I was like, well, it could be like conditioning and indoctrination, but even then that sounds like an excuse. So I was like, well, she could have kind of modified their eating habits, or the husband could have suggested to her or tell her, that they need to change their eating habits. But maybe they were comfortable doing what they were doing. Maybe they thought that, you know, their health wouldn't deteriorate. Um, And I even asked her. I was like, well, I told her um, that I understand how that could be eating out because even I still eat out sometimes. I mean, back then I ate out way more than I do currently. And so I asked her, like, does she have like a workout regimen, or did she have a workout regimen prior to being on dialysis? And she said what some people usually say. She would say that she would get her steps in by her job, and then working with her children and doing things around the house. So I was like, okay, then she's not really. That's a form of working out, moving around, moving the body. But I didn't ask her what her profession was. But depending on her profession, she's sitting down a lot. If she's sitting down a lot, and you juxtapose that with how she's eating, she's going to put on weight. So I was like, okay. And then with the doctor, when she told me about what happened with the doctor, I was like, well, I asked her like, there was no way you can like sue the doctor. Um, and from what she shared with me, like it was nothing she could really do. But as I was listening to her tell me what was going on, I was like, well, somewhere along the journey, she had the opportunity to change her eating habits. Like way before it got to that situation where she had to be on dialysis. Now, this is just me thinking because I want to be considerate. I want to listen and just take it in because I don't always have to share everything I'm thinking, and some things could just come off as rude and insensitive. So I just kept those thoughts to myself. But like I said, even in Rod sharing health as well, she could have prevented it. And in fact, I was as I listened to her talk, I was curious about what was her husband doing. Like he should have been on top of that. I mean, of course, as her being her husband, him leaving the house, he should have been on top of that. But even take her husband away for a moment, she should want to, live long, And I just think overall, not just with that situation, but with people's situation, even currently in today's time, people can control what they put in their body. Like they just can. Some people fry their food, some people bake their food. Some people use a lot of sodium, some people use substitutes. And I've always said, and this was very evident as I was doing rideshare, health as well, that you either gonna change your eating habits on your own or when the doctor tell you to. And depending on most doctors, their first thing is to some, not all, but some doctors, their first mission is to put you on some medicine. In my personal opinion, is because mm, they somewhat want to make you feel better. But once you do the research of what's all in your medicine, they're not really trying to make you feel better. It kind of has side effects to certain parts of the system, to certain parts of the body, you know. And I'm sure you all have heard and heard stories. It probably happened to you taking medicine and your body have an adverse reaction. And it's all about money. It's all about money. Because my thing is this, just common sense. If medicine was sincerely made to make people have like no ill feelings or thoughts, because it could be physical health, mental health, it doesn't matter. One wouldn't have to keep coming back. But then again, these businesses, they want to be able to profit. They want to be able to make money. And since we're in the U.S. and it's all about the cream, all about the money, they really don't want people to get well. However, there's things that I was thinking that she could probably do. Well, no, it's too late because she's already been on dialysis for a minute. And I'm not even sure if that's irreversible. I don't think it is, but I would have to do more research. But it's things that people can do prior to being on dialysis, like um, just to ensure that their health is wealth. By the time I got to the end of that ride, I had so much information reiterated to me. Because at one time I was doing what she was doing, just eating wild, eating crazy, just thinking I could eat how I want forever. But when you see proof that, hey, you're messing up your body, you're messing up your physique, and there's no one you can blame. You can't blame your parents. You can't blame social narratives. You just gotta look in the mirror and make the change. But that's when you're doing ride sharing and you're taking people from appointment to appointment, different hospitals. You just see how important your health is, because like I believe in, as most people believe, your health as well. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. Um, and that is just the truth. Um, there's a lot of things you can buy. Good health, you can't buy it. You can buy good medicine, but I already spoke on that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. However, I do think some of the solutions are, of course, um, for one, to change their eating habits, to work out consistently, and intermittent fasting, water fasting. Some people juice fast, but that's cool. Whatever it takes for one to detox, clean their body out, and just eat different things in moderation. So even if you have done ride sharing, or you don't even do ride sharing, or you just don't drive because you're tired of driving and you take ride share, health is wealth. So just keep that in mind. And that's all for today. Remember to go to Amazon and get my book. And you all have a great one. Talk to you all later. Peace.